When this fucking beat drop, you already know what fucking time it is.
Daily Dose is on now.
Check it out, y'all.
If you're excited for 2020 to end, say I. Okay, well, now we're even more excited because J. Cole actually posted on his Kill Edward IG. Is that like what, his alter ego?
Yeah. That's what he goes by, when he gets all deep and melodic with it.
Got it. Well, he put, dang, been off for a while, but I'm going to make sure we end this 2020 with something special. Everybody's excited. How do you decide what goes on your alter ego's IG and what goes on your regular IG?
It's kind of like a Finsta. Oh, I don't know. What's that? Like when you on Twitter, you have like the fake account just to hype people up.
I don't have that.
I don't do that.
I'd be like, yo, add Teddy Moore is killing the game right now. I'm the only one.
Oh my God.
Either way, we need J. Cole music. I'm super excited for this because the boy Drake has been killing. He's been lapping everybody in 2020. So. Cole,
you said that
Kendrick,
this morning.
I did. Listen, I'm a Kendrick and Cole fan, but Drake, man, this dude has been. He keeps on doing what he does, man. So Cole,
hurry up, man.
Hurry up, bro.
We're waiting.
We're gonna have this whole room looking like OVO.
Okay, so I have an announcement. Okay, Drake wants everybody to know that he dated SZA back in 2008, 2009.
What?
Okay, he has a verse on 21 Savage song "Mr. Right Now," and he said she wanna to me. And SZA, wait, because I used to date SZA back in 2008. And she had to go on Twitter to set the record straight. It was actually 2009, she said. And she said it was all love and peace. But I'm upset, okay? Because she had to not only confirm that they dated, she had to clear it up because back in 2018, she was 17.
2008, you mean?
Oh, I mean 2008. Whatever, you get it. I'm messed up with the dates now. Back in 2008, SZA was 17.
Yeah.
And she wasn't dating Drake at the time.
No, she dated
Not
him
until
the
she was
following
18.
year. Can we talk about that? Like, what is Drake dating an
Why you doing,
18-year-old?
Drake?
Like, you can't even
Why you
go
put it
out
out in the song, Drake?
hang out.
Why you gotta bring up old shit, Drake?
Ladies, relax. I'm gonna defend Aubrey here.
Okay.
Wait and 8 just rhymed. So no, I'm kidding. Listen, Drake loves to be a chatty patty on records. He'll tell you we had Black China on a couple weeks ago, and he let it be known, like, yo, tell China I'm coming. Like, he always name drops people. This is what he does.
I have a question.
What?
I have a question, teacher. Pick me. So, Taylor Swift does this all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
And
true.
she made a
Very
whole
true.
career out of it.
Are we being, like, extra judgmental towards Drake because he's a chatty patty, but we accept girls like writing songs about guys and like
because girls gossip, so you expect y'all to do that.
What? Men gossip too, son.
Nah, listen. Drake's the exception because he's tapped
Where's the
into his
camera?
sentimental
What camera am I
side.
looking at? This one right here. Look at me.
Wrong camera, fool.
Oh, is it this one?
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Look at me. Look at me right here. Look at me. Men are the biggest liars. They gossip. They add body count. Like
Cheese
muscles to the max. Hey man, I hit that. I used to be with that. Lies.
That is a lie. That is a lie right there.
That's how men are.
I hear you on this one, but I feel like I got to hear it from a legend, like a queen. Repping Atlanta to the fullest.
Hey.
How about we go check in with Monica? Monica, how you feeling? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you all?
We're doing good.
Good. Fighting. Having a debate.
Yeah, you gotta settle this for us, okay? And whatever you say,
I guess that's what it is.
I'm gonna go with. Not because I have the biggest crush on you or anything like that, but just because I've always loved you. So who gossips more, men or women?
I'm going to tell you what I really believe. I believe the more modern day men gossip more.
Interesting. Interesting.
Modern day men. What does that mean, though?
So modern day men to me means, and the thing is, they gossip more and they're in denial about it. But so let me tell you why I feel this way. So for real, my brother, if you were to, I use him as an example because I grew up being the only girl, So for him, for example, if you even say, hey, did you hear? He'd be like, what? Man, I don't know them people. But he's not a modern day man.
Right.
He is, Southern. He's completely removed from no social media. Like he just doesn't care. Like he doesn't even understand when people ask me certain questions or ask him certain questions, he's baffled. He was like, who care about what you eat?
Yeah.
Like it's almost strange to him. But then I've actually taken my sons to the barbershop before, back when you could go to the barbershop. And I've actually sat in a barbershop and had to like blink my eyes.
They're talking about body counts. They're talking about like
It
all
goes
these
down.
things, right, Monica? They're just
First
having
of
all
all-
these conversations.
First of all, they were talking about who got married and who got divorced.
Really?
And yes, and being a modern day man is not an age thing, because I'm gonna tell you something else that I see now. Men addressing women is so weird to me. My
Right?
brother is like, I'm not arguing with no girl. Like, so everything for the modern day man is very different, and I am not a fan of it. I am not.
Well, with that being said, I think it's men. I'm going to say men, but I'm also going to say, listen, it doesn't matter if it's a modern day man, if it's a classic man, all that. I think we all fans of Monica, and this is such a huge year. And I want to say that, obviously we know what 2020 was for everybody, but Monica, I feel like you did have a great 2020. You celebrated 25 years of Miss Thing, which is crazy, right? Because you were just a pup, you just a little baby.
Little
You were
young
younger
Monica.
when you made that. And also,
Yes.
like, can we just talk about that 25 years of Miss Thing? What does that album mean to Monica?
That album means everything to me. It was one of the moments when I started realizing that everything that I had gone through, even as a young girl, there was purpose for it. Because I created an album that was about, I didn't just have basic kiddie records, so to speak.
Yeah.
There were records on there where I was really talking about some things. And I created that record at a really difficult time in my life, because I was, somewhat of a troubled kid, in the sense that I love family, and mine at that point was split up. So I was finding out a lot about myself, and it's all in that album. Everything that I felt is in that album. It was the first time I had ever recorded on a studio mic. I had only sang in church or talent shows. So that album really changed my life. But what I loved is that there was no pressure for me to be anything other than myself. And that's why they actually titled it Miss Thing, because I would come in and I would listen to records, or people would be writing for me, and I would say, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't do that. And back then I wasn't aware. I didn't know who Clive Davis was. I sang in his office. I had no idea the significance he had to music as a whole.
Wow.
But that not knowing allowed me to come from a really sincere place. So Miss Thing is still one of my favorite albums, period.
Classic.
When you say, since you were so young and they were letting you be you or whatnot, and now that you're a mom, do you kind of take some of those lessons of just being yourself, or letting yourself
Yes.
express yourself, now that you're raising your children?
Yes, because I know it had to be hard for my mom. Of course, she didn't allow the industry to overtake me, which is probably why I'm saying right now today, she sent my first cousin on the road with me, because she was working at Delta. We had a real regular family.
Yeah.
And my family's from the country. They're from Noonan, Georgia. So my mama grew up on a farm, and my father was a really street savvy, quick finesser. So I had, I kind of had the best of both worlds, raising me and rearing me. So I do allow my children a lot of freedom in them being who they are. Like if you saw my middle son, he's Odell's biggest fan. So he had the blonde hair, and, he was living it up playing sports. And my oldest son produces music. I don't go in and tell him what type of music he needs to do or what he needs to create. And my daughter is a gymnast. So they do have the freedom to really choose to be who they want to be, but you just have to be a good person. I speak more about morale and ethics and right and wrong than I do who you are and who your creativity, what your creativity should be like.
Yeah, and now we got a single. Now we got a single. It's called Trenches, featuring Lil Baby. And I'm from what I'm hearing, that's what the album is gonna be called, because you're also working on an album. Why did you decide to call
almost
it?
done.
Right, almost done. Okay, so why did we call it Trenches?
Because I've been in them all my life. I think that trenches is more than just a place. like where my father's family was, that was the trenches. If you want to speak of the actual place, that's where I saw a lot. That's where I learned a lot. That's how I decided at a young age that I didn't ever want to do drugs, but I made those decisions based on what I was seeing and living on a regular basis and losing people, not just to the system, but when you start burying people, you 15, 16, I was in the trenches. Now I also give trenches the title of being a state of mind. I'm in the trenches right now because my father just became a double amputee. I can't see him. I have a child that has strep throat, which is something you recover from, of course, by God's grace. But with everything happening, we were in the trenches over here trying to make sure everybody was good. But it doesn't stop the things that you have to do for your everyday life. So I don't want people to think that if you're not from a certain community that you can't relate to the trenches. The trenches can be happening right around you. Yeah. People make the mistake of assuming because you have a lot or I have a lot that I'm not in the trenches anymore. I'm in the trenches right now. Right now. I want to make sure my people are good. That's the state of mind version of trenches for me. So that's what made me title the album that, because it's a place that we all could end up at any given moment.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. When I read trenches, like for me, it's a mindset. Obviously, like just like you, I grew up in a certain area, but we moved out. But that doesn't mean we leave it. Like you carry that with you. Also, what I think is so dope is that this album that you're working on, that's almost finished, that you're about to tell us who's on the album.
Coming in November, I heard.
Yeah, you're dropping it on your own label. Like that's huge. Like let's celebrate that for a second.
Let's go.
I was nervous with the first record a little bit. My nervousness wasn't about people and the perception. It was more about me being able to facilitate everything that needed to be done when I know it's just us. Like, this isn't a machine. This isn't a major corporation over here. And so every dollar that's spent, it comes from my savings. Every decision that's made is made by myself or my first cousin. Like, it's a real nonstop. I go to sleep and wake up thinking about Mondani's music. So for Commitment to go #1 independent, that really fueled the fire for me to show people, especially from where I'm from, that you can do anything you put your mind to. It's definitely mind over matter.
Is this something you wish you would have done sooner? Gone the independent route?
A little bit more
ownership? I actually think it happened in the right time for me mentally. I don't know if I would have been totally ready. I think it all happened the way it needed to, because the good thing is it wasn't like I was dropped or I had beef with the label. My contract actually came to an end and I said, I'll figure it out.
Really?
I've watched it. So yeah, I've been on the same contract since I was 12 years old. It definitely, Wow. It definitely had been revised when companies' names were changed. Like, for instance, Arista was where I was signed, Rowdy by way of Arista. When Rowdy closed, it ended up just being Arista. Then when Arista went to like J Records and I decided, okay, I'm staying with Clive, then so sometimes the name changed, but the paperwork was the same. So when I met my obligation, I just said, listen, I think this is a great time for me as a woman, for me as a mom, to just show them that I learned along the way. I needed them for the time frame that they were there.
Saying this because you could have been so comfortable. You could have been like, oh, I'm just content with what I have. And you went and you got more. So my question is, you have a podcast coming up, Mo Talk, right? You have new music. You're a mommy. Your label, just all of these things. How do you stay on top of it? Or how do you stay motivated? Because a lot, and especially being in the trenches, like you said, sometimes it would just be easier to not get up from bed or just you know what, I'm just gonna chill today, or I'm gonna, how do you tap into that mindset of being such a hustler?
Yeah, you know what, I laid down at 7:00 this morning, and then when they told me what time I was talking to you guys, I was like up and in the shower, because this is the way I look at it, and this is why I have so much respect, having a father that was really from the trenches and me growing up being around it. I know that this is not everyone's life, and this is a blessing that I don't take for granted. So my motivation is that it could all be gone. My motivation is that it changed my family's lives. My motivation is that everything that people said I couldn't do, I've done it by God's grace, but also with hard work, because when everyone else was experiencing proms and fun stuff, Monica was at work. I really was at work, but I don't take it for granted. People have so many options as to what they could be listening to and who they could support. Why would I lay in bed when they actually, they spend their hard-earned money that they've gotten up, gone to work and done what they had to do to even support? Have I learned to take time off? Yes. I have learned that I'm no good to the people around me, including my supporters, if I'm not whole. So I definitely will take time off, but time off doesn't mean doing nothing.
Right.
It may just mean doing it differently. And Corona kind of forced a lot of us to do that anyway. So I just stay motivated by the ideal that once you are in a place of productivity, you don't ever want to lose it, because it not only hurts and affects the lives myself, but it hurts and affects the lives of my kids and my parents who are now getting older and experiencing different things. This is my whole life. This is how I feed the family. So I'm also motivated by the fact that 25 years ago, I never would have imagined I'd still be sitting here like talking to you guys, or, I come from a place where people typically tell you what you can't do instead of what you can do.
And not just talking to us, like you dominated. Let's talk about the Verzuz. Over 20 million, and you really set the bar. Like we had the Snoop and DMX, and we're like, all right, this is the best one. And then Monica,
Here comes Monica
and Brandy, you guys come together and just do something that was monumental.
The biggest one.
Talk about your experience in the Verzuz, but be real with it.
Did you really think that it was going? Because sometimes you go into something, you're like, it's a big deal, but it was one of the biggest. Like, it's up there with the DMX and the Snoop Dogg, and then you got extra credit points for showing up looking flawless. Everyone's like, extra credit for her because she showed up looking so good. Did you know that it was going to be that big of a deal? From your outfit to just the whole thing?
No, I didn't realize that level. I realized that this is how I felt. I felt like it was important for the culture for she and I to come together. We had not seen each other or spoken one word in 8 years. So I felt like, was it 8 years or 9 years? But I felt like it was really, really a win for the culture and for music. And there are so many talented women. I want them to feel comfortable in hashing out whatever is going on and being able to do what you want to do musically. And that can span beyond music. I don't care if you work in an office space. If there's someone that's willing to openly communicate what the issues may be, do that and move on. And that's exactly what we did. Just before people saw us sit down, we had a real heart to heart. And it was important for us to do that because there were a lot of things felt, but they weren't discussed.
Right.
And unfortunately for us, everyone else talks about it too, which definitely plays a part in how you start to feel, because you start to feel slighted because you know what's true versus what's not, but you never really get a chance to say that. So us having that conversation amongst each other was really dope. And that was the best part about it for me. And the next part was the music. We really got a chance to celebrate the music and what it's been, because honestly, she and I are nothing alike as far as being artists, the things we talk about.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I keep trying to explain to people, you can actually love both. You don't have to pick one. That because we aren't competing with each other. We are totally different. But us sitting there, I hope, that some part of us being able to do that will help the other females and some of the males that have issues to squash and move.
Well, it happens now so much. Like you see people that they'll let one thing get in the way between them collabing and making money and making beautiful music. But I think in your situation, it was a win-win. Like, first of all, like you say, you dealt with something that's been on your heart, right? Both of you guys did. And then you guys just, it launched the conversation of like, oh man, are we getting the tour? And we want this. Like, people wanted more from you guys separately and together. So it was a win-win in our opinion. Like, nothing but great came out of all this.
And I was lucky enough to see behind the scenes. Like, I was there when Monica walked in the room, and after that, it was such great energy. It was such a celebration that night. It was awesome.
Charisma said you floated. She said you got an aura about you. Like you know how Dave Chappelle said about Rick James? Like, I heard Monica.
She floated
You float, but you
It
flow
was
with
all
some
love.
sass. Like, is that true?
I do.
She's laughing.
It's that's a unique way to put it. I mean, it's, for me, I feel like your energy, it should speak for you. And I was really concerned about people not just hearing the music and looking more for there to be something wrong, because everything was right.
Yeah.
And I keep telling people, like, Verzuz is something you have to want to participate in. It's not like somebody dropped some bags and we showed up.
Right.
It was really us saying that it's time, and we were able to sit there.
Yeah.
It was really a big moment. And then this is what I wish.
Go
I
ahead.
wish people could have seen what happened off camera.
Yeah.
You guys didn't film that? That wasn't documented? That was one of those, like, yo, no cameras. That's what it was?
Well, no, we didn't say no cameras. It just, there's no setup for it, because most people, their verses is different. Like I always say, I'm sure Snoop and X probably like blew it down in the back together and was kicking it.
Right, behind the scenes,
it was
she's
probably
right.
different.
I got some
that
video.
was different. Ours was completely different, and we had a lot to contend with. And then you're thinking about which songs we're going to play. And they told us to share light story, give people some insight about each one. And it was a lot to think about. And so once it was done, it was just hugging and talking and explaining, how you felt about different songs, or me telling her what my favorite record of hers is, or we would just have, I wish
singing
people could
each
have seen
other's
that.
records. Yeah. You guys were singing and everything.
I have a question.
Yes.
So Missy Elliott posted a video of you guys in the studio, but we didn't get any context of that. Why don't you tell us what happened behind the scenes there? Like, is there a new track? Or what are we working on with Missy
multiple.
Elliott?
Oh, most
She producing the album? The whole album?
No, she didn't do the entire album. So a lot of the records started. So we'll go back to the trenches, right?
Right.
The album was supposed to be titled Chapter 38. I started working on it, towards the end of the year that year, and I had a lot happen. My family was really going through it, and then I decided to get divorced, which was mandatory for me to sit down and really make sure my kids were okay.
Right.
Next thing you know, I turned 39. Now this month I'll be 40.
Lordy. Monica's turning 40.
I was in the trenches. I was really going through it real time. And so I started working on the album then, but I really kicked into gear once I worked with the Neptunes, and we had those weeks, and and then we were in Miami, and I was able to catch a different vibe. Miami is where I did So Gone and a lot of those records.
Really?
Knock. I catch a different vibe there. And so I try to tell people, artists, we aren't machines. We're really human beings. We're living and we're feeling. So I'm feeling all these things and I'm putting it into the album. And so now that it's actually really a couple of songs from being ready, I know for sure I'm going to release it before the end of the year.
Ooh,
I'm not going to wait till
ahead.
next year.
You know what?
I'm not going to do that.
Is it true? I heard that your oldest son is the one who made the whole little baby play come together. Is that true?
Yes.
What's once you shout him out, what's your oldest son's name?
Yeah, he hanging in the trenches. That's why he knows. That's why he knows. So Malik he's an artist himself too. So Uno he definitely is one of those. I have very independent, especially the boys.
Yeah.
All three of them are just next level with being independent. Rocco works on his music. So I was looking one day and I kept telling them that I felt like Lil Baby was the only person that I wanted on the record. Not only is he from where I'm from, but he's also very conscious. Even though he makes music for us to turn up to, he's intellectually, I was intrigued by the way that he moves and the way that he does things. And from being even in the room with me, that's important for me. It's still important for me. So they kept saying, well, we could find, I was like, no, it's Lil Baby. Lil Baby is the one, the only one. And one day I was looking at his page. I think I was actually about to tease him about something he said. He was out with some girls. And he and Lil Baby were talking in the comments. And I'm like, I think he'd be great for the record. And he was like, hold on one second. We were on the phone the same day. And that's how it happened.
Okay.
And that's a great. I mean,
what's up.
that's such a big look for Lil Baby. I mean, like you said, he's a man of integrity, substance, wise beyond his years. But still, that's a great look to be on a song with Monica. So Trenches is coming out. It's dropping out before the end of the year, expected. So we know that's for sure. Did we get Are we confirming this Monica Brandy tour? Are we gonna do that? Are we confirming it right now?
Nobody's touring.
I know. You know
So
what
they
I'm
haven't
saying.
called me. They haven't called me about a tour. When outside open back up, the sky's the limit. But nobody's called me about a tour. And then she's in LA. She's on the West Coast. I'm down south. So even like getting together, of course, you know, Apple was very careful in how we were all flown into place and what we did. We wouldn't risk any lives.
So guys,
or anything like
we're
that,
gonna
but-
put on the list, celebrate Monica's birthday, cop the album,
Hi, daughter.
and also have someone reach out to you so it can happen.
Yeah. Because you know, from what Brandy told us, you guys only performed the song like once or twice.
Yeah.
So right. So we gotta add a couple to the list.
She told the whole truth.
Well, you know what? It's such
Verzuz would have been dope if we would have had like a whole unplugged moment after.
Ooh. And behind
That's what
the
I keep
scenes,
thinking of.
they have
Yeah,
to
that's
start
what I
doing
keep
that.
thinking of after, because a lot of people were like, sing.
Yeah.
That would have been dope as hell to just have a whole, just the guitar in us and go through some songs. Because when you tell me, come play the songs, I play the songs, and I would catch myself like singing at random out loud. But it would have been really dope for hours. I mean, hindsight is just that. But it would have been real dope for hours to have like an unplugged moment right after of like some fan favorites. But I mean, it's never too late. We can do all type of stuff. You know, we'll do it. We'll figure out some ways
There
to
it
get,
is.
really perform.
But like, you know, like Melissa said, we are celebrating Monica. Trenches. Go make sure you go stream the song. When the album drops, go get that. It's such a pleasure to sit with you. And I feel like you dropped so many gems to us today.
Facts.
So thank you. And you keep on being great, being the Monica that we all love and adore. We're all huge fans. And whenever you want to get something off your chest, Power 106 here in LA, we're here for you, my love.
Thank y'all for supporting me for so many years, though. Not just now, the whole time.
You already know. Come on, we have
The whole
Appreciate you,
time.
Queen.
we have the
Yes, I love you guys, and I don't take it for granted.
Oh.
I got something new coming for y'all soon, too.
Well, what is it? You know what? Well, what is it? Yes, you can. 'Cause you know what? You know why you can? You know why you can? Because you're your own boss. Because it's your own label. So who's gonna check Monica? Nobody. She'll kick
I
down the
did a song
door.
with somebody that I think y'all gonna like.
Okay.
So West Coast artist. Enough said.
Yeah.
There it is.
So you,
Brandy and Monica and YG dropping in December.
Ooh, that's actually a dope idea. It's not that, but that's a good idea.
There
And
you
don't
go.
be trying to
Executive
come back if
producer
we do
credit.
something and act like you thought of it. Just scratch this part.
You already know. Listen, we're gonna let it be. You, Monica, you have a great morning, okay?
Thank you,
You
Queen.
too.
Thank
Bye,
you.
y'all.
Peace, Queen.
Later.
When this fucking beat drop, you already know what fucking time it is.
Now, check it out, y'all.